Am I the a-hole for finding out I've been unknowingly paying rent to my husband and his mom for 2 years? I, 31F, have been married to Brian, 33M, for 2 years. Right after the wedding, we moved into an apartment he said was a great deal from a family friend. We agreed to split rent and utilities 50 by 50 to keep things equal since we were starting fresh and wanted to avoid money fights. So I've been sending him $700/month just for the rent this whole time. 3 days ago, at a barbecue, I overheard his mom talking about how it's nice getting rent from Brian's place and how smart they were to keep it in the family. Turns out his mom owned the apartment and Brian's on the deed too. I had no idea. He never told me. Just let me keep paying rent for 2 years like a clueless roommate. When I confronted him, he said I never asked and that I'm overreacting because we weren't overpaying. But I feel completely blindsided. It's not just the money, it's the secrecy. I told him I won't keep paying until we talk about a fair setup. Now he's acting like I'm the problem. Am I the a-hole? It's not even that you didn't ask. He said it was a family friend. It wasn't. It was him. Not the a-hole, but girl. I'd be drafting divorce papers in a Lisa Frank notebook because this is giving financial betrayal and mama's boy energy. Like, imagine being married, paying rent, and finding out you're the tenant in your own damn marriage. This man let you roommate his investment property without telling you? That's not just shady, that's premeditated. You didn't marry a husband, you married a landlord with benefits. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to recover at home after surgery? I, 29F, am really disappointed with my husband, 30M, and furious at his mother, hag-aged F. Sorry, this is so long. And throw away for privacy. For context, my husband is from the West Coast, where his mother still lives. He moved to the East Coast for college, and that's where we met after graduation. In the start of our relationship, she would visit 3 to 4 times a year and make him take PTO so he could entertain her throughout her visit. After 2 years of this, while we were still dating, I asked him how we are ever meant to go on a vacation together if his PTO is spent at home with his visiting mother. We agreed to save PTO for a trip to Europe we took in 2023, and he agreed to tell his mother he couldn't take off from work every time she visited. In my last job, I was able to work from home 4 days a week, and every time she visited, she sulked all day like a puppy who's had her toys taken away. But once my husband came home, a switch flicked and she was happy and clingy again. So here's the issue now. Husband and I moved states about 6 months ago, closer to my family. I have a new doctor who recommended me for a surgery that my old doc kept putting off. It's not a complicated procedure and it will greatly increase my quality of life for decades. My mother-in-law decided she's due for a visit and wants to explore our new town, and she'd come to help around the house while Op recovers. I'm going to be out of surgery and in pain, and I really don't want to put up with her energy. However, we agreed with my husband saying this isn't a sightseeing visit. She's here to help out cook, clean, laundry, etc. so I can rest and recover. She can come for a proper visit later in the year. My husband dropped me off at the hospital on Wednesday. It was meant to be surgery, then one night overnight at the hospital for observations. On Thursday, the doctor told me my labs were not where he'd like them to be and I should stay another night for observation and new lab work in the morning. I called my husband and told him that I'd hopefully be home the next day over the phone early afternoon. He did not visit on Thursday at all. On Friday, I was discharged and called my husband to tell him that I'd be ready in about an hour. It went straight to voicemail and I figured he's probably in a meeting and I'll try again in a little bit. After calling a few times over the course of over an hour, I called my sister, who was lucky enough to be excused from work for the afternoon, many thanks to her understanding boss. She drove 90 minutes to get me and took me home, and the house was in shambles. Laundry baskets on the dining room table, the litter box not cleaned since Wednesday morning, days of dirty plates in the sink, etc. I just broke down crying. She packed me a bag and took me to her apartment to recover for 2 weeks. On Friday night, my husband called me asking me where I am and that the hospital said I was already discharged. He had been on a hike with his mother and there was no cell phone service, so he missed my calls, which also meant he took PTO for his mom's visit again. Obviously, I can't ban him from taking PTO, but wouldn't you rather spend that freed up time with your wife at the hospital instead of on a date with your mom? I told him that I no longer feel comfortable recovering in our house and I won't be returning until it's thoroughly cleaned and his mother is gone. He's calling me the a-hole because his mother just wanted to get to know our new area and I wasn't able to leave the hospital anyway, and that I was making a big deal out of this. I yelled that he essentially abandoned me at the hospital and entertained someone whose being here was to help make recovery easier, not more stressful, and that she was here for support, not on a vacation. Maybe it's just the pain and pain meds, but am I in the wrong here? Is this a stupid hill to die on? There's a part of me telling me to see a divorce lawyer just to see what my options are because I'm not sure this will ever change. I know this is going to sound incredibly selfish, but I want kids, but I now don't see myself having any with my husband in the foreseeable future. And if this isn't going to work out, I don't want to spend the next 5 years of wasting time and money on therapy and missing a chance to find someone I actually can start a family with, someone who can be a committed father and husband before he's a son. Many thanks to anyone who's read all of this. Edit thank you, everyone. I stepped away for a while and came back to a lot of support. I think it's time to put my big girl pants on, unfortunately. He left you alone in the hospital. He went somewhere without cell service when he knew you were being discharged. He didn't call you back until that night, hours after you were meant to be discharged. This man is ridiculous, and that is unforgivable. Let his mom have him. You are not overreacting thinking about divorce, and you are definitely not the a-hole. Edit. Thank you all for the upvotes and awards. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking an autistic child out of my restaurant for misbehaving? My name is Gina, 55F from upstate New York, and I run a family-owned pizzeria. My husband and I have been in the service industry for decades, and over the past few years, we've noticed a huge increase in rude customers, rude children, and a crazy level of entitlement. One of the rules we have in our restaurant is that nobody is allowed to talk on speakerphone, play music out loud, or have anything playing on speaker from a personal device. This is such a simple request and something that has always been the standard. This was not even an issue or something that needed to be said before the pandemic. But now it seems parents feel attacked if their children cannot watch Bluey on volume. We have signs up asking people not to do this, and we actually do enforce this rule politely but firmly. A few weeks ago, a woman was sitting with her 9-year-old son who was watching cartoons on his tablet at full volume while also scrolling TikTok on a phone. I nicely explained to the woman that we do not allow this, as it is disruptive to other customers, and asked her to please turn off the volume. The woman rudely replied that her son has both ADHD and autism, so he needs to do this in order to sit down without making a fuss. I asked if she could please use headphones, and she snapped that her son does not like to use them. I told her that this is not acceptable and to please either use headphones or set his devices to silent. About 10 minutes later, I was in the kitchen and heard loud banging noise coming from the dining room. I came out to find the child furiously banging his fists on the table while the mom just sat there ignoring it. It was almost as if he was waiting for her to say something, but she did nothing. I asked her to please stop him, and she replied that he is on the spectrum and this is just his normal behavior if he doesn't have a device to calm him down. The boy then stood up and started running around my restaurant, punching and kicking the other tables and chairs and knocking things over. Another customer yelled at the mom to control your kid or I will. She launched into what sounded like a pre-rehearsed monologue about how autistic children deserve to occupy the same spaces as everyone else. I agree with this, but everyone still needs to behave appropriately. I told the woman that if she could not get her son's behavior under control, that she needs to leave. She was furious and started yelling about how it is illegal to discriminate against people who are on the spectrum and that she would report me. My husband came out, put her food into a Togo box, and just said to her, "Get out right now." She looked genuinely shocked and said that kids should not be expected to just sit quietly and that the world needs to be more accepting of those who are different. I love kids, my husband and I raised 5 of them, even one with special needs. But autism or not, nothing gives you the right to behave this way in any setting. If your child's issues are so severe that simply sitting in a restaurant without a device makes them freak out and throw a tantrum, then maybe reconsider taking them there in the first place. I'm tired of rude kids and lazy parents who embolden them to behave this way, refusing to discipline them or set any kind of rules or boundaries. This is not about ADHD, autism, or any other condition. This is about entitlement, bad parenting, and bad behavior as a result. Am I the a-hole? I have an autistic son. When he was younger, 4/5-ish, he was awful in restaurants. So guess what we did? We didn't go out to eat. Some autism people will say I deprived him of experiences, but I see it as I avoided triggers. Guess what? He is a well-behaved 24-year-old who wasn't traumatized because he didn't get to go out to eat for a few years. We were all much happier. Not the a-hole. I don't understand this obsession with making everyone hear what you want to hear. It's not just kids. Teenagers, adults, and elderly are all doing this. Thankfully, it's not common in restaurants or cafes, and I only have to deal with this on public transport where I live. I've just started to give my opinion if I hear people talk on the speakerphone. If they are trying to make me a part of their convo, I will join fully. Also, I appreciate that you're trying to control this in your restaurant. Edit. I've also seen so many kids running around in restaurants and playing. And if they're not bothering/harassing anyone, no one says anything. This is not a subject of different or sitting still. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my husband relight my daughter's birthday candles for my 3Y/O to blow out? I 32F have seen and read plenty of stories where spoiled kids have blown out other kids' candles or thrown a fit when they're not allowed to. My husband, 35M, apparently has not. Friday was my daughter's 10th birthday. The day of I will make them the food of their choice and a small cake. The party is usually at a later date. After we ate, we got her cake ready, and my 3Y/O was very excited. I had explained to him all throughout the day that it was sister's birthday, not his, so he had to wait for the cake. We lit the candles, sang happy birthday, and she blew out the candles. This might be where I might have been the a-hole. My husband grabbed the lighter and tried to relight them, so the baby could blow them out too. I said, no. It's daughter's birthday, and I refuse to allow my son to be one of those spoiled kids that can't understand it's not their day. His face fell immediately. He said he was just trying to help and keep the baby happy. We dropped it there. He was kinda quiet the rest of the night. I didn't mean to come off harsh. I just didn't want my daughter to feel like she had to share her day or that it wasn't all about her. Update. I have had a sit down with my husband, and we have come to an understanding. But before I get into that, I wanted to address some things. I received a lot of comments about 3 not being a baby. We are aware. We do not call him baby. My 3-year-old will correct anybody that calls him outside his actual or nickname. It was for post purposes, so I wouldn't use his name. Second, my 10Y/O daughter doesn't have issues being kind and sharing. I didn't ask her because she's the kind of kid that will say yes to make you happy even if that's not what she wants. I was able to tell on her face she was happy I said no for her. Thirdly, the toddler didn't ask to blow out the candles or show any interest in the candles. His sole focus was the cake. He didn't cry, get mad, or throw a fit. He was happy with his slice of cake. Lastly, my husband is not misogynistic and doesn't usually play favorites. He encourages all our kids to be the best they can be. He tells the girls they can be anything they want, and being a girl will not stop them. His thing with the 3Y/O is he's our last, so he's trying to be as involved as he can. Oh, and as stated above, this wasn't a party, it was our intimate celebration before the party in 2 weeks. Now, on to the update. We had a conversation about that night. I apologized for my tone and referring to the kids as mine. I told him my intent was not to come off so harshly. I just didn't want my daughter to feel like we were taking her moment. He apologized for attempting to relight the candles, especially while they were still on the cake. He really wasn't thinking of the grand scheme. He just thought son would like to have a turn. He did realize he was thinking about how daughter would feel, and that's why he got kind of quiet. He stayed thinking on daughter after the fact. He had a conversation with daughter. letting her know she's important, and he didn't mean to take away from her moment. So all is well in this household. Thank you for all your opinions on the matter. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.